Today I am showing you how to build these construction block shelving units using basic tools. Free plans are provided as always, and you can use any thickness material that you wish. However, I found that 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch material worked the best. I am making two variations of this project today, one using a 1/4 inch board where all you need is a miter saw and a hole saw. Those I chose to paint, and then we're going to make these fancy ones. If you're fresh out of scrap wood and heading over to the big box store, I recommend picking up a longer board such as this one, doesn't even fit in frame, instead of a shorter board like this one. And that is because this board here, while they are both a 1/4 inch thick material, this one 3 inches wide, 8 foot long, versus this one 6 inches wide, 4 foot long. Because building construction blocks, have equal ratios, meaning that their sizes follow construction sizes. Think of a 4x8 sheet of plywood or drywall. The two shorter ends equal a long end. The length and width must easily be divided by the opposing width and length to keep the Lego piece proportional. So if you had made your width to be 2 inches wide, your length would either have to be 2 inches, 4 inches, 8 inches, and so on. Following that Lego rule, this would give you two equal 2 1/4 inch pieces, and that's just not going to give you a very big shelf. Versus having a board such as this one, a 3 inch wide, it will give you a larger shelf, and I'm not a big fan of poplar, so this one I will show you how to get nice, clean, smooth edges, and we're going to paint it. Moving over to the miter saw, I first cut the rough end of our board off. You could easily trim this much of your board off instead of this huge chunk, but my board's hitting the wall and I can't move my miter saw down 1.5 feet easily, so I'll use this later. Then cut 2 3-inch pieces for the sides, 2 6-inch pieces for the front and back, and 1 piece at 5.5 inches for the bottom. With the rest of the board, I was able to make one twice as long to have 12-inch front and back, 11.5 inch bottom. And with those cuts, we're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. Grab a piece of styrofoam or scrap wood. I don't have any scrap wood I care to use. I just use these pieces of foam. And then grab a scrap piece of wood, preferably one that is a little bit thicker. I have some just oak here. If you had some 3/4 inch material laying around, I have no 3/4 inch pine that is 2 inches thick. It's weird. So we are starting with a 2-inch hole saw. We are going to drill out a hole very first. Start on one end, finish her off on the other. Just like that. So if you used your hole saw with the arbor in it, you're going to get the one that has the center hole in it. And that's going to look silly on the front. You could fill them in, but what if you wanted to stain these? You want them to look nice. So once you have your hole drilled out, you know where I'm going, you're going to use that as a template to drill out another hole. And I'm going to clamp it down. And then you're going to take out your arbor. So you're going to undo this, make sure it's not super hot. It's a little hot. So no arbor this time. And now you're going to drill out another hole inside of your hole so that you get a nice clean hole. And now you have a circle that does not have that arbor hole in it. So that's going to look a lot cleaner on the front of our project once we get everything sanded down and looking nice. So I'm going to need 2 for this and 4 for that. 6 total. Give those circles a gentle sanding. Whoa! Living on a prayer. So these are nice and pretty looking now. You're going to take the 6-inch and 12-inch, what will be the fronts of your Lego construction block, little shelves. And the easiest way to get this lined up, to take that 3x3 piece, line it up right there, give it a nice gentle score line, just something that you guys are able to see, especially if you are sanding these. Get him And then you're just going to move him down the train like this. Like this. So just little score lines at the top and bottom. Does not have to go all the way through. Just take a straight edge. And really what we're doing is just finding the center so we know where to put these. Like that. And now I will know this piece is going to go right here. This other one is going to go somewhere right there. If you want to eyeball it, since you do have these and you can't see this line anyway, so it's not like it's helping you, you could eyeball it and see where these are going to go. I'm probably just going to eyeball mine, to be honest with you. But it will look like that. This one is going to be something to that nature, because if they were next to each other, you know, or you're making some sort of a cool shelving system with more than one, your lines are going to match up. Going to get a little glue and just clamp those down for a little while. With these beautifully glued up, you're going to take the next longest piece, being that 12-inch and 6-inch, or whichever ones you guys are working with, and you're going to make a way to mount them onto the wall. If you didn't want to drill holes, or you know, you're renting somewhere and you want to just put those 3M sticky on the back of that, that's perfectly fine. It's not a lot of weight for these shelves. They're not going to be holding, you know, a ton of weight. So those little sticky command hook sticker things will be just fine. Otherwise, you can drill in some pilot holes so that you can put some nicer screws through there to hold it into place if you choose to do so. So with that, I just take my square. I'm actually using this spot and butting it against it, lining it up to the edge. I'm going to go 1.5 inches in on these longer ones, perfectly on there because it's 12 inches long. 1.5 inches in, like so. This shorter guy, let's just do 1 inch in. So, I got to turn it so I can see. 3 inch, so I'm going to 4. This guy going to 8. So there are just a couple perfect lines. Again, taking that piece of foam, and I'm just going to use a 1/8 inch drill bit and pilot those holes out. I played with the idea of gluing up the longer one while these were still setting up, and honestly, it's doable, so we're going to do it. Here we go. If you guys have made one of the little tape dispenser holders for your blue tape, awesome, good for you. You are going to take some blue tape, and this is the bottom piece. It's the shorter of the other pieces. So my shorter piece here, I'm just going to put some blue tape on the bottom of all the sides. Flip them over just like so. Now the sides are actually going to cover this bottom piece. They don't mount onto the top. So we can glue these into place right now. My fingers are 100% going to be in the way, but I'm going to try my best. And then you're just going to take that piece of tape, using a good amount of pressure. Don't rip it. Fold him up like so, and it's going to squish all that glue inside. Now, mine has a little bit of a bow. That's going to fall down. So it's not going to be super touchy until I throw some clamps on it. So if you have mildly straight boards, you won't have to actually clamp any of these. Mine, being how they are, I'm going to have to clamp them. And until we get the back put into place, it's going to fall down every time. Now the back is also going to be on the bottom, just like there, so I can put glue onto here, and I can glue the sides because it actually protrudes out the side. So glue around all of this. So with the sides up and into place, we pop him in, make him nice and straight. Just like so. few more pieces of tape just going onto this upright. I'm going to put them this direction. This piece of tape you can pull into place to hold that in there. This piece of tape going right here. Holds that, tighten it around the edge, keeping everything nice and flush looking. And then we repeat that for this front part. Add a few more pieces of tape. Make sure your lines are looking, so this one likes to fall in. Just make sure he's lined up to the edge like that. Put your tape. Same with this edge. And you can see I have that gap. So I'm actually going to smoosh it together with some clamps as well. If you didn't have the gap, you don't have to. There it is. Do a little bit of cleanup just to get the extra glue out from the inside. And now we have two building construction block shelving pieces built. Just going to kiss them with the sander and then we'll move on. I also took a piece of sandpaper and hand sanded all of these corners just to give them a gentle round so they weren't so sharp. You don't want to use the oscillating sander because it will eat these corners alive. And my boxes actually turned out beautiful as far as the sides. If you have any gaps or any issues with the sides, or say you cut a piece just slightly smaller than it should have been, you can fill that in with just some putty, smooth it in there. Paintable sealant works as well. And again, because these are poplar, I am going to paint them. That's why I didn't really care too much that you could see a little bit of the glue since it's flat on the project. Now, if you are going to stain them, I wouldn't use a joint compound or anything. You're going to see that in your crack. Try to match it with a wood filler. But these guys, I'm going to set the paint booth up and give them a quick spray. Now let's make some real pretty ones. I started off by finding some boards. I'm doing a few routine checks to make sure that this lumber is top quality. Black walnut and cherry will contrast quite well. With the board selected, it's time to get to work. First, I ripped them down to that same 3-inch strip. I liked the storage size of the wider shelf. I want to make 4 longer shelves and 2 shorter ones, so I ran some quick calculation to make sure that I had enough lumber. I would need 3 plus 3 plus 16 plus 16 plus 15, 53 inches for the longer one, and 3 plus 3 plus 8 plus 8 plus 7, 29 inches for the shorter one. Womp womp. Then I repeated the process with the black walnut. I need to reduce the thickness of my boards. I don't like cutting boards like this on my table saw, and my bandsaw has no fence, so that would be a little wonky. Sounds like a perfect job for the planer. And yes, it's extremely wasteful, but it got me where I wanted to be. I'm halfway done with planing down those boards, and I just wanted to show you guys that the cyclone system works. I set it up for failure when I was doing that big draw of sawdust, and that's just because sucking up that much sawdust, I dropped down my suction power drastically because it was sucking up so much to where this couldn't run efficiently. So everything hooked up as normal, it runs like a champ. And this guy still has that little bit of sawdust from when I shot that video. And then this is actually catching all of my sawdust. This isn't filling up at all. It's not putting out anything into the air. That filter is looking nice. And it's just because I overloaded it for that video. I got a little excited, you know, can you blame me? Grab your glue and the blue tape. The process to assemble these Lego shelves is the same process I provided earlier. Glue the pieces, tape the sides, yada yada yada. I also added a few clamps just to squeeze it all together. flip over to the belt sander and get your sand on, baby. Dun, 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 dun. Then really get your drill warmed up by drilling a bunch of holes. These are the ones that we had built that are colored. Aw, they're cute. I told you they would turn out pretty dang nice. There's those. Looking at this one, because it is a 1/4 inch thick, and this one I didn't beef up a lot, I did make him longer. I made him longer because it's going to replace those for me. So these are actually not 4, it's going to be 5. So with this, if I had put 4 of these on here, it's going to look kind of dumb. Versus this, that has more. So if I fit an extra one into here, don't look at that side, that looks gross. They look pretty proportional to each other. And when I would take one of these shelves and I put 2 of it on that, I can get them to line up the whole distance down. And that's just with me having this many shelves. I am adding these little cute adorable ones onto the wall as well. It just makes everything work out. Because if I had it like this and I had that shelf, people would unsubscribe. So this is actually a 5. It is included in the plans. 5 little circle cuts. So I'm going to start with a longer side, and then like this one has a little knot spot. Maybe you want to see it, maybe you don't. That's up to you, the aesthetic. I'm going to start with this side. Can we just look at how gorgeous these boxes turned out? Oh man, it would be kind of cool to switch these so that they had opposite colors. Should we do opposite colors? You know, like this? Let me know in the comments. Should we do opposite colors or not opposite colors? That's right, the video's already been filmed, so I'm not doing opposite colors. If you want to mix it up and add some contrast, good for you. This guy, I'm going to find the center, 16 inches. It's going to put me at 8 inches. So right there is my center. I'm going to use a little super glue because I'd like these to be set up and done today instead of me having to wait till tomorrow to finish these up. So find the side that you like the most. Put a little glue. Make sure it's centered how you like them, just like that. Grab one of the thousands of clamps and clamp him into, These are not long enough. Throw some tape on there. It'll hold it into place until the super glue sets up. Knowing that my distance, this is my bottom, I can come in here, set up a spot. Like that. This spot right to here. And then take a fairly long piece of tape, which you can reuse. We're not going through a whole roll of tape in this episode. Put them on the bottom, like so. When I line out my other, whatever these are called, it goes right to the bottom, and it keeps that line perfectly straight. So it also helps me kind of center these to make them work, but I want to center them off of one of these. And realistically, this distance is also the distance for this one. So they do sit a little bit farther apart in the center. They're not perfectly centered. It's this distance and this distance match. That makes sense to ya. I am also lining up the grain so that it doesn't look like this on the front. So I'm trying to make sure the grain patterns match. And you're just going to continue to do this for the rest of these pieces, however many you're building. This video is not sponsored by Minwax, but it could be. Minwax, cut me a check. I have chosen a few different color stains that I like the most, that I thought would go good with the wood options that I had chosen. That being black walnut and cherry. How freaking adorable are these? So black walnut and cherry. The colors that I had selected, I don't know what order they're in, is natural, which doesn't bring out the red in my cherry like this one would. So, and I don't want this color to blend into the background color of the OSB. I want it to kind of pop. I want it to have that fun color. Same kind of happens with the black walnut. It doesn't pull those colors out very well. So natural is out. Up next was dark walnut. I'm obviously not doing the cherry piece in dark walnut, just gonna make it brown. And I did do that to the black walnut. Black walnut wood with black walnut stain makes it way dark. And that's too dark. I'm gonna lose these little circles. I don't think it's gonna look good. It kind of hides some of that grain pattern. It's out. Now, I have gunstock, which is what I used when I made the cherry push stick. I used gunstock and it turned out beautiful. And look at that. Ooh, red. And this color doesn't get super hidden in the background. I think it will help pop these colors out, and it will be darker around the outsides because they are a little bit rougher sanded. This is the color for me. As you guys reach for scrap pieces of wood to test out different stain colors, remember that they should be sanded and match as close to the current state of your project as you can, because this piece was planed down and sanded. This piece was not. Came from the exact same material, same exact time I bought them. This is a piece of cherry. This is the red I got for when I just tested out the gunstock. This is what color I got because it is sanded and pretty much ready for stain. This piece, I did do a light sanding on it, but it was nowhere near the planing level that this piece had. That's a better representation than this chunky boy. So you guys kind of think it's like an elephant in the water. That's what I see. It doesn't. So we're gonna go with gunstock for the cherry. And lastly, I have honey. I just wanna drink it, but it's a chemical. I actually don't like honey that bees make. They work really hard, and you know what? That's yours, bro. Like, I don't want someone to like come here and like eat my garage and be like, make that again. I'm gonna eat some more of it. No. Honey is a beautiful color. I love honey. It keeps a golden colored state, and it just goes on. It pulls out the grain patterns beautifully in black walnut, as opposed to the black walnut stain, which, you know, it could just be the test piece I had, but this piece, I don't like it. It kind of almost too dark, doesn't pull out those pieces as it would, but it does a little better job, I feel, than natural. There's not much of a difference, but this piece, it is darker. I do like it. With everybody stained up, I am just so eager to pop these things on the wall. There's the new backdrop, looking sexy. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. A like would be appreciated. If you want to subscribe, just click on this sexy man right here. If you want to watch another video, all of those are popping up right next to me here. Gee golly, what a great channel. Man, I love it so much.